Hi, welcome to the channel. I'm Britt, creator of The Style Shaker, a guide to cleaner, greener, better for you beauty. Today I'm putting on some makeup, some newbies, some oldies that I've been loving. I'm also going to be talking about an inside out kind of approach that I've been using lately called the compass exercise. I've been loving this exercise that I learned from therapy and friends, and I wanted to share it with you. It's really helped me figure out what I want, learn how to set boundaries, and all the rest of it, which is really important. You know, it's about what goes on, but it's about how you feel in what you're wearing and what you do in the world as well. So this is part makeup, it's part mental, it's part mood, it's all the things. Stick around, let's get into it. Got a new BKR bottle. They're stupidly priced, but they're really pretty. Pretty water bottles make me drink more water. So you know what? Use it every day. If it works, it works. It's gonna be a really simple, easy, kind of summery, bronzy, dusty rose look. I have prepped. I will list everything that I used to prep my skin this morning. I just took a long time. It's Saturday morning. This is my time. So if you like these types of videos and you want to keep seeing more, don't forget to hit the like button. It makes a really big difference over here, so thank you for that. It takes 2 seconds, and then videos come out every week. So if by the end of this video you like it, subscribe if you haven't already. I've been using the Ere Perez Oat Milk Foundation quite a bit lately. Like, a few dabs will do. It's very scientific. I love getting ready in the morning. I find it to be super therapeutic. I usually don't do too many get ready with me videos because it's like, that's my time. I wanted to come on here and talk about not only makeup. Makeup is wonderful because it helps us be the best version of ourselves, creative expression, whatever. It's not just about what you wear, it's about what you do and what you wear, but it's also about how you feel and what you wear. I've mentioned this before, it's just been top of mind, and with the podcast, really is even more top of mind because I'm talking with all these really interesting, fascinating, inspiring people and learning a lot every week. And yes, I am going to start posting, hair is in the way, posting those on the channel very soon. I'm just trying to figure out the schedule for that. It's got me thinking, it's got me reprioritizing. One of the things that I recently learned, not actually through the podcast, but there will be a podcast episode coming up soon about this, is this exercise that I have found incredibly helpful in my life, and I wanted to share it with you in hopes that maybe you can find it helpful too. And it's really simple. I actually learned it from my therapist, and it is called the compass exercise, like a compass that tells you which direction you're going in. You ask yourself one question: how do I want to feel in a job, friendship? I did relationship and job, actually. You apply this to whatever area of your life you would like to see some change in. And I'm gonna tell you the different criteria that you kind of fill out as you go. Let's talk about romantic relationship today, shall we? I am not an expert in that, but this has helped me. Here are the 7 criteria. So, in a relationship, how do I want to feel with my partner emotionally? And you write down a ton of whatever you're feeling like. Secure, love, whatever resonates with your heart, write it down, and then at the end you're going to edit them down to about 3 each, your top priorities, because you guys, we can't have a list that goes on for like 50 things. I mean, you could, but it's going to make life a little bit more complicated. How do you want to feel physically? Affectionate. Do you want to feel strong? Do you want to feel, that one kind of was a little iffy for me, so you don't have to do this, you don't have to go exactly as I'm saying. How do you want to feel financially? How do you want to feel spiritually? What am I on for? How do you want to feel socially? And what are your shared values? Wrote them down on a piece of paper, listed them out. I would say that took me maybe 10 minutes. It was pretty fast for me. The list can change. There's no hard and fast rules. So I wrote this down, then I went back in. The editing part was actually pretty tricky, but I got it down to 3, I believe, or 3 to 5 for each. Sometimes there's 5. You can scoot them around a little bit. Just do it until it feels right to you. But here's the thing. You know how there are some of those lists, like, I guess this has been a thing, maybe it was back in the 90s. This is my list. I want him to be 6'4". I want him to be attractive. He needs to be a millionaire. Definitely not that. That's actually why I liked this list. Whatever I wrote down, and this was the advice given to me and suggested, I should give that to myself first wherever I can. So really it's less about the person, it's more about your feelings, and we are responsible for our feelings. So that's what I really liked about this list. It was less about the surface level, less about a criteria, a perfect, there's no such thing, person, and more about yourself, what you want, how you want to feel in a relationship, at work, whatever the case may be. Because I believe when we energetically kind of get to that point, I am not perfect, I have my ups and downs, but when we kind of aligned to that energetically, when I can give that to myself to a degree and feel full and appreciative of that, then we kind of attract who we are. You get what you put out. You know what I mean? I firmly believe that. I really, really have seen that show up over and over again in my life. So another reason I really like this, because it helps keep those guardrails a little bit for myself, less for the other person, right? The other cool thing here is if you have trouble setting boundaries or saying what you want, this can help you set soft boundaries for yourself first. You can understand what the feelings are, see how you're feeling in a relationship, and set those boundaries. And B, it clarifies what you want so you can communicate that to your partner, which has personally been an issue in the past for me, but I've gotten significantly better at it. And this helps so much with that. Eyeliner, I can never do this on camera. It's like really hard. The next step is that you also write down your deal breakers. That's a very important step. And then that takes you to the, okay, I've got my list together. So now what? Okay, so I look at it this way, like it depends on the context of where you are at in your life. Next steps are gonna be different for everybody. I really should have done this before I put eyeliner on. Oh well. So I took a look at this situationally. It's really hard to talk and do makeup and like have a coherent thought. Right, so now what? You're in a relationship. It's gonna help you communicate better. Look at the relationship you're in. Are you happy? Is your partner happy? Are you doing well? Are there things you can improve? Are there opportunities for improvement? That's such a corporate thing to say. By the way, 1999 is a new brand. This was gifted to me and it's really interesting. You should check out their website. I'll have a link to it below. I have 15% off of the pencils that they supply their products, their website, and I've been really liking it. The lip pencils are really strong and they're all about multitasking and it's just an incredible mission, so check it out. I was under no obligation to say that, by the way. I'm just really honestly impressed by the brand. In a relationship, you have your list, you know what you want to feel. You're like, I'm not feeling it. This is hypothetical. You can take the list and have an open and honest conversation, which hopefully you should be able to do. I know not everybody can do that, and say, you know, this is how I'm feeling, this is how I want to feel. And I don't think it's about putting the pressure on the other person. I would probably evaluate and dig into the root of why you're not feeling that on your own first. Or this is what I would do. I should speak for myself because, again, not a therapist, not even close to a relationship expert. I always like to reflect on what I'm doing and better understand the root of things. And sometimes we need help to do that. So I sought therapy for different things, but that I needed the additional support. And I was very grateful to have that, very lucky to have that. So I leveraged that and kind of evaluated myself first. And then it takes the emotional charge and the blame out of the other person. The one thing is I have to take responsibility for myself. When other people don't do that, I have a really hard time being friends or anything more with them. So that's first and foremost, look at yourself. And then you have this really great list, which again is based off of your feelings, and you're able to use different things and communicate that with your partner. I'm oversimplifying it, but that's how I could potentially see it being used if you're in a relationship. And I also play a game of hot and cold myself. What I mean by that is if I am in somebody's company, as friends as well as relationships, anything else, and I walk away from the conversation feeling depleted more times than I feel uplifted, supported, energized, you name it, like positive versus negative. So let's say cold is negative and I walk away from the conversation feeling cold versus hot. If it happens more times than not, it's just not a fit. And I really try to, back in the day, probably in my 20s, I would be like, they're the worst. I would look for external validation on why I don't like them and blame and point a finger. And these days, it's just really not about that. It's just, you're just not a fit. And that's okay. Like maybe you can have the conversation and give it a chance. I'm not saying drop it, but in my experience, you know, that's what I look for. If you are pre-relationship and you're like, all right, this is great, I have my list, now what do I do? So it's context-based. When the person comes into your life, give it enough time. This is not hard or fast rules. This is not like someone's being tested or quizzed. Again, it's really more about me and how I feel with the person. Explore that, give it some time, examine it a little bit. My gut instinct is pretty darn strong because I've done a lot of internal work. I trust my gut pretty well there, but even then I would give it some time. The great thing about the list is the deal breakers. You know, if I see something repeatedly in this person, give people the benefit of the doubt. People aren't perfect. I'm not looking for perfection. That's another really key point here. It's not about finding the perfect person or, you know, it's about being who you want to be, being what I want to be, and then being a magnet for that with other people. Also, maybe being open to it not being on my list and saying, hey, cool, this is a different experience. I didn't even think about that. I feel great. As long as the feeling is aligned with what I want, we're good. If it's not multiple times and I'm in the beginning of a new relationship, then it's not gonna be a fit for me. And it's funny because in the past, I've had a really hard time cutting that off. I have a tendency to always want to see the best in people. It is something I have had since I was a little kid. It's just a part of who I am as an individual, and I like that part of me, but I also realize that that keeps me in relationships, friendships, and beyond way past the expiration date. And I've learned from that. So again, this list is really helpful because I can go and look at things objectively. You guys know I love objectivity with the scorecards, and say, you know, is this working or is it not working? And who knows, maybe at a different time in my life it'll work again. I don't know the answer there. All I can focus is on right now and my feeling and what I want to feel. And if it aligns with what I want to feel, great. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And then I don't think there's any other context. I mean, unless you don't want to be in a relationship, which I have also been like that too, actually. People have a hard time accepting. Like, people have always had a hard time accepting that. They're like, well, are you dating me? Are you with somebody? Why are you married yet? Da, 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 da. Women in general get this a lot. Maybe you don't even need the compass list for a relationship, but that's the cool part because you can use it for everything. So I did it for, wow, I'm going real backwards with this look. I did it for work. I'm gonna scroll to it right now just so I can see it again because it's kind of, how do I want to feel in my work career? Now, it's a loaded question because I don't assume there's going to be a perfect job. Work, I feel like I've always had to just accept that I wouldn't like a job. Now I'm looking at that going, is that really the case? Or is there a part of my current role that I'm missing, that I'm not seeing that's right in front of me? And that's actually recently happened and bubbled up a little bit. I gave it a lot of flack. Now I'm able to kind of look at it with a different pair of eyes through a different lens. And I'm not trying to make it work as much. I'm just trying to see and open my eyes to maybe the good in it. Ultimately though, I've already realized that it does have a couple of the deal breakers. So the process is going to be very different. There's a lot of other extenuating circumstances that apply to the work section of this. It is helpful specifically when looking for the next job. I feel like most of the time I've made my target and aimed based off of criteria of what I don't want. I know very much so what I don't want. But what I do want was never clarified. I think I've known it. I just never wrote it down. For those of you that struggle with that part, I really think this could be kind of a cool, fun little exercise for you to try and just kind of see where it takes you. And you don't have to live by it. But when I get emotionally involved in a relationship that isn't for me, I can go back to this and take that emotional charge out and go, this is not it. This is not it. So let's communicate that. Let's see if it could be it. And if it's just not, like, call a spade and move on. And I think it's also believing that and trusting that there are other things out there. Something I often see in friends and myself is just sort of the settling that happens, which I think is really normal, especially at times that are chaotic in the world. We want comfort, we want safety, we want security. There's nothing wrong with that. It's important to have that, but I think a lot of people that I know that I work with are super miserable in their work, and some of them acknowledge that and do something about it, and some of them acknowledge that and don't do something about it. The ones who acknowledge it and don't do something, I think it's partially because, you know, I mean, I'm not in their heads, but nobody likes to have to go through the job search process again. It's uncomfortable. You're putting yourself out there. It's stressful. What if you leave one for another? What if you don't get it? There's so many questions and it's, again, very stressful. In my experience, kind of start thinking that there's nothing else out there. Happened actually when I worked at Neiman Marcus big time because it was such a huge company in Dallas and has such a significant presence there, and for good reason. You know, I had good times and maybe not so good times while working there, but I would say the good outweighed the negative. I learned so much in that job. The other thing that I thought was kind of wild is that people just stayed. They just stayed and they weren't happy. And everyone has extenuating circumstances, and I'm not gonna sit here and judge it, but I think it's kind of interesting because when we don't take a step back and reevaluate where we are, what we want, and whether or not our current trajectory is moving towards what we say we want, then I think we sort of just go on autopilot. It's something I am acutely aware of because I moved a lot as a kid. There's other fish in the sea. there's other jobs. There's other experiences to be had. That's something that initially I was forced into as a kid because I had to move. It has now created a paradigm in my mind, so I know, it's so warm, sorry, I have to turn the AC off when I record, it's so loud. Because I know that there's other options. That's the compass list. This is makeup and mind. This is like make up your mind. Let's put our hair down and do the slow motion reveal. I use this new stuff in my hair. I don't know about it. It's supposed to be volumizing. Feels weird. That's it. That's the look. That's the compass exercise. I am actually going to have a podcast episode with one of my all-time favorite people, who's also named Britt. Hopefully we can get that scheduled. She is somebody else who understands the compass exercise. She's just brilliant. She's wonderful. She's a bright light. I can't wait to share that with you. I will post that here as well as on Apple and Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. The podcast name is Whole Picture. If you want to check it out, link to that below. All of the products that I use are going to be listed below. Hope you had fun with this one. Let me know what you think. Are you going to try the compass exercise? I would love to know, because I think it's kind of a game changer. I don't know. Thanks again for watching. If you had fun getting ready with me, then hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe. New videos come out every week. I will see you right back here real soon. Until then,